After a thorough investigation, the FIA has announced that there were two teams that breached the cost cap in 2021, and we have two drivers that are leading the push for cranes to stop coming onto the track while drivers are still on the track. Let's get right into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Formula One Digest. I'm your host, Tyson Silva, and I'm reacting to the FIA announcing that they have completed their investigation into the financial regulations for 2021, and they found two teams guilty. That, of course, being Aston Martin and Red Bull. It is confirmed that they are guilty of breaching the cost cap. And Red Bull had a minor financial overspend, which is less than 5% of the cost cap. This isn't the first time we've seen this. This year, we had Williams, who were found making a breach earlier in May, and the team was fined $25,000 for the breach. So as a result, it is confirmed that the rumors were true that two teams did go over the budget, and that was the Red Bull team and Aston Martin. What does this do for Red Bull? Well, it does give a bit of another bit of controversy to Max Verstappen's championship last year. Obviously, he won it in one of the weirdest fashions that we've ever seen, where Michael Masi made a decision to just have them race at the last minute. But then we also now have Max Verstappen, who was technically in a car that was that had breached the rules of the financial cap limit. So it doesn't really tarnish the legacy, I don't think, but it does give a bit of an asterisk, or maybe a further asterisk, as to, how everything kind of has played out. Of course, Max Verstappen just won his second world title yet yesterday under another weird circumstance where he didn't even think he was the champion until the FIA announced that there's a 5-second penalty on Charles Leclerc. Therefore, Max did win the championship. So again, it's been weird for Max the last 2 years, winning the championships in weird fashion. Of course, this year I think more people seem to believe it's a bit more of a legit one. But we did get a reaction from Red Bull, who made a post after the findings were released, and they were and they stated, and I'll put the graphic up for you guys as well. And it says, "We note the findings by the FIA of minor overspend breaches of the financial regulations with surprise and disappointment. Our 2021 submission was below the cost cap limit, so we need to carefully review the FIA's findings, as our belief remains that the relevant costs are under the 2021 cost cap amount. Despite the conjecture and positioning of others, there is, of course, a process under the regulations with the FIA, which we will respectfully follow while we consider all the options available to us. I haven't seen anything come from Aston Martin yet, but as far as we know, there has not been a punishment dealt. We are still waiting to hear on any news that can happen there. Chances are, according to the FIA site, to the F1 site, that the result of this will probably result in a financial penalty or minor sporting penalty. So we will see what that does for Red Bull and Aston Martin, of course, and we will continue to follow any more news that comes out of this. This is probably a really interesting case where it's one of the bigger teams that has overspent, and people will probably talk about it for the next couple of days as to what that did for their performance last season. Of course, we did have some drama yesterday in the race where Pierre Gasly was driving under the red flag, and there was a crane on the scene, and he was very livid about the result. People obviously are making reference to Jules Bianchi, who passed away after crashing into a crane, same track and under poor conditions as well. This is something that happened again, and people are very upset. The drivers are furious to see that there is a vehicle on track, especially in the wet. We also saw this in Singapore when Yuki Tsunoda had to get his car removed from the scene, and both Sebastian Vettel and George Russell have spoken out, saying that it is an unacceptable thing to happen. And George Russell was very transparent and said, I think we spoke a little about it in the driver's debriefing this week, because there was a tractor on the track in Singapore when Yuki Tsunoda crashed. And it was at the point that people were transitioning to slicks, which makes it dangerous all in itself. We expressed our views and we don't want to see that happen. That was obvious last week. To come here 1 week later, given the circumstances and the history, of course, is pretty disappointing. And of course, he's making reference to the accident that took a life many, many years ago. And it definitely is disappointing to see that these drivers are put at risk when there's such poor visibility. Even when you look at the onboard, you can't really see much, and that must speak to how much Pierre could see. So I think it is really good that these drivers are being very open and transparent about how they feel, because this will hopefully push the FIA to make some changes in the future. And we will see what comes of this. If you guys have made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share it with all your friends. We appreciate all the support that we get, and we will see you guys in the next video.